Hello beautiful dancers, welcome back to Black Cat Belly Dance Studio. And today we're going to focus on reverse taxim. This is a beautiful, slow, dramatic move, and basically is the opposite movement that we do on taxim or regular taxim. So let's get into it. Remember your beautiful dance posture. And from here, I'm going to start doing for you the regular taxim. And from reverse taxim, what we want to do is start with the opposite direction to create the same figure, but starting up instead of starting down. So let me just explain that a little more because it can be confusing. So for regular taxim, I'm starting from my center, going down with my right hip, right? So from here, I'm going a little out, not that much. If you haven't learned taxim, I'm going to leave the link for you up here because it's important to know it before going through reverse taxim. So going back to the topic, I'm doing here the regular taxim and then coming back up and center. And from here, the left hip is ready to keep going the loop. Because it's a loop, it's a figure 8, but it's in a loop. We keep going and going, right? So for reverse taxim, instead of starting down, I'm going to start up, out a little bit, like scooping. And from here, coming back to my center, while my left hip is already up, ready to do the curve of the figure 8, right? So make sure, starting with my feet, sorry, today I skipped the feet. Make sure that your feet are flat on the ground so we don't lift the heels. From here, make sure that your knees are soft and your hips are centered, so that way you unlock them and you can do the vertical move. Also very important to mention, remember that these two moves are kind of the moves that the audience appreciates from the front. So if you do them in profile, they won't be able to see anything because everything is happening in a horizontal like line or dimension, right? If that makes sense. So let's go back into the step. So soft your knees, center your hips, and from here I'm going to start up, a little out, come back to your center, the left is ready to repeat the move. Also, make sure or try to keep your thighs, your legs together, because otherwise it looks like this. Even if you are wearing a skirt or pantaloons, it can be a little noticeable. In my case, it's a little worse because I have a gap in between my legs, so I have to be very careful and make sure that my thighs are together and keep them that way during these moves. So coming back to reverse taxim. So from my point of view, this move is a little more dramatic than the regular taxim. So we don't want to overuse it, and also we want to make sure that we choose the right music that goes with the vibes of the step. Otherwise, it's like you make it more simple when you use any music. It's like if you buy premium product or service, but you don't use it that way, you use it as a regular product. So basically it doesn't make sense. So same thing happens with this move. We want to make sure that we choose a very dramatic song, or at least not the whole song, but if the song has these accents or these short frames where you can use the step, it looks amazing. I'm going to drop some examples of that kind of music on the box description. I cannot use that music here because it's copyright music, but just to give you an idea, I'm going to drop the links below. So let's go back. I'm sorry, I have so many things to say that I just interrupt the process. So boom, boom, boom. My arms are still doing the arm undulation, but in this case, what I notice is that my hip is encountering my elbow. It's happening the opposite that happens with regular taxim. With regular taxim, I think I mentioned in the video that you imagine that you have a string between your hip and your elbow, so your hip goes down and your elbow goes down as well. And the same thing happens with the other hip, right? So in reverse taxim, we are going to experience the opposite in the movement, because while my right hip is going up to start the step, my elbow is going down, so they are going to kind of encounter without dropping your elbow, of course. So make sure that your arms are very strong and powerful. So we don't want to do something like this. Can you see the difference? There is no power, there is not energy, like boom, you know? So one more time, I'm going to do it facing away so you can follow me. So also something important is that your head and your side, what is happening with them? So you can turn your head a little bit towards your hands to make it look like you're following your hips without over exaggerating the head. So we don't want to do that. Instead of that, it's a little bit, a very slight move. Or you can just look towards your audience. It's up to you, right? So let's dance with this step. I'm going to incorporate the regular taxim as well, so you can feel the difference in your hips. And let's have some fun. super nice. Two things that I noticed while I was dancing is that your heels are going to try to lift because it's a lot of effort, it's a lot of things. There is a lot happening in your body, and for your body it's easier if you lift the heels, but try to keep them on the floor. And also the speed of the step, I noticed that for me it looks way more beautiful if you slow down reverse taxim a little, even a little more than what we do with regular taxim. And the arms, I noticed that my arms are a little higher during reverse taxim versus regular taxim. So I hope you're enjoying these tutorials. I know it's a lot of information, so make sure that if you don't get something, you go back to the video, because sometimes we need to review the information over and over, and then you get different information, different tips while you're learning the step. So that's the way I learned, watching videos 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 several times until I feel comfortable with the step. Please leave me a like, and if you have any questions also, don't forget that you can leave me those questions on the comments. Thank you so much, and see you next week.